welcome you all to Dealing with Difficult Behavior. Obviously, this is something that you're going to experience at camp because this is part of the training. Um, for a lot of our counselors, difficult behavior is something that's kind of the scary thing of, I'd love to be a counselor, but I don't like working with difficult kids. So we hope this will be the tool that enables you to be okay with that, to be ready to address the problems as they arise. First of all, I want to say in dealing with difficult behavior, it's really important that you as a counselor take time to take care of your own emotional needs on a regular basis. At camp, you're going to have about a 3-hour free time regularly. There's going to be other opportunities too where you can kind of process, how am I doing? What am I feeling? The more in tune you are to your own needs, the better you are going to be able to take care of your campers' needs. We like to use the illustration of an airplane. You've all been there, you're sitting in your seat, and before they take off, they go over all the emergency procedures. One of those emergency procedures is about the oxygen mask that drops from the ceiling. And what they tell you is that you're supposed to put the mask on the adult first, correct? And then you put the mask on the child. And the reason that is if you're putting the mask on the child before you put it on yourself, there's a chance that you could run out of oxygen and pass out, and the child would never get their mask on. And of course, the child won't put the mask on you. In the same way, as a counselor, you're the adult in the situation. You need to take care of yourself and then take care of the needs of your campers. And if you're not taking care of your emotional needs on a regular basis, chances are you're going to have a really difficult time taking care of the needs of your campers. So, what does that look like? That looks like, taking personal inventory on a regular basis. How am I doing? How am I feeling? What can I do to take care of these feelings to get me in a place where I'm feeling positive, I'm feeling ready for the day? Sometimes that's just, you know what, I'm uptight. I know what I'm uptight about. Okay, I think I'm okay with this one. Let me just take a couple deep breaths and relaxing yourself. And that often helps, just taking time to do that. Spending time with God, that prayer time, that taking your request to God, sharing your emotions with God, really important in becoming an excellent counselor and being able to show up with the energy that you need to take care of your campers' needs. Get adequate rest. I know it's kind of hard some people thinking, oh, wait, I'm at camp, we stay up late and everything. But there are things that you can do to rest and recharge. During your free time, maybe you don't want to go out and play an all-out basketball game during your free time. Save that for your time with your campers. Rest. Get recharged during that time. Also, of course, during your free time, recharge emotionally. Maybe you need to go talk to another counselor and say, hey, I'm having a rough time. This is some of the feelings I'm feeling. When you recharge, that 3-hour off time is we have that intentionally so that you can show up and really be there for your campers. So take advantage of it. Make sure you recharge. How we respond to conflict is crucial. And how we frame it in our mind, our initial what's happening is crucial, and how we can work with the conflicts as they happen. First of all, frame it in your mind. You need to see conflicts and crises as opportunities, not as the end of the world, not as I'm an awful counselor, not as I've ruined my camper. See them as opportunities. And if you can frame it in your mind as, okay, we've got an opportunity. I've got an opportunity to speak to my campers' lives. It's going to change that whole interaction. Stay calm. Like I said, take a few deep breaths. Remember that you cannot change your camper's behavior. One of the most frustrating things, and we talk about this in the care cycle and the fear cycle all the time, frustration happens when we're trying to control something that we can't control. And when you're trying to control your campers, you're going to be driven to frustration. But if you're giving your campers choices and you're just seeing it as they're making choices and everything naturally falls into place, it's going to be a lot less frustrating. When you can say to your camper, you can go up to the building now, we can start worship, or you can stay down here. and I'll go get the counselor coach, and we can talk to the counselor coach. What do you want to do? And you're able to stay relaxed because you're not trying to make your camper do that versus, hey, well, I'm going to make you do it. And all the energy builds up. When your buttons get pushed, sometimes you have to just realize, just even acknowledging to yourself, hey, I had a button pushed. But I know this is about the camper, and so I'm going to take a deep breath, and I will take care of that. I will take care of my emotions. Telling yourself you will, make sure you do. Keep that promise. And then temporarily set them aside so you can deal with your camper. Although you cannot control your camper and control their decision as far as how they want to respond, you can lead. You still are the adult in the situation, and you can lead. So you can ask the camper, hey, seems like you're really upset. Would you like me to help you kind of process this and work through this? Or what would you like? Would you like a few minutes to calm down? And we're actually going to be talking about this more in another session. But you can lead, you can give them direction. First of all, of course, you lead by caring for yourself, then you care for the hearts of your campers. And if you've been taking the time to connect with your campers, often that they will respond to you and you will be able to speak into their life at this point. It's important that you give firm boundaries, follow through with your consequences. I see it every summer. The counselors say, bell rings, the counselors say, okay, guys, time to go in the building. Time to go in the building. You guys need to get up. But the counselor's standing behind the campers. The campers are closer to the building than the counselor. And the counselor just keeps talking, trying to move them in. And the proper response would be all right, guys, it's time to go in the building. And then the counselor heads to the building and says, you guys got 5 seconds to get into the building, or you got 10 seconds to get in the building, or I'm have to hand out push-ups. And it's amazing. And then to start walking to the building and start counting, and immediately the campers jump and start moving. But when you do okay, you guys you get to the building and you just got repetitive stuff, you're no longer leading your camper. So do lead, do give the firm boundaries, make it really clear what you're expecting and what the consequences are. Also be aware of the difference between expectations versus rules. An expectation may need some flexibility. An example would be campers should participate in the activity. And you're thinking, I'm kind of expecting you to participate in the activity, but maybe field games is really not their thing. And so it's, hey, look, we're going to hang out in the swing set. And a rule is not flexible, and usually they're based on safety. Campers are not allowed to wander off alone or off by themselves with an adult in the woods. That's a rule, and that's not flexible. In dealing with difficult behavior, it's important to remember that you can't make them do anything. There's a degree, but it would become abusive at that point if we were making them in that way. So we have to remember in our mind that we can't make our campers do anything. So in reality, we are giving them choices. You can come up to chapel tonight, or you can stay down here and I'll send the counselor coach down and he can talk to you. Or actually, we can't stay down here but we can go up to the building and you can stay on the front porch and the counselor coach can talk to you, or you can go into chapel. And giving those choices, and some choices are just, would you like to memorize verses during rest time, or would you like to lay down on your back and rest? And the more choices you can give the campers, the more you're going to help them grow as becoming an adult, being able to realize, life is full of choices, and I have choices that I can make, and then letting them experience that. Make sure you show them respect. When you say, Michael, you're so selfish, or when you attack them verbally, I can't believe you're behaving like this, all that stuff. Sometimes it's just, maybe it's grabbing a child by the arm, come on, let's go. Anything that would feel disrespectful, you want to make sure that you don't do that. You don't want to tear a camper down, especially in front of their peers. You want to make sure you're always showing them respect. If you show them respect, they're going to reciprocate respect back toward you. Ask if there's something that needs to be told. Ask yourself, is this something where, a camper, he's sweeping the floor, but he's just kind of moving the broom back and forth, and food is just going off the floor in both directions. And it might be a situation where nobody's ever taught him how to use a broom before. And you could interpret it as he doesn't care, he's just making a mess. But it might be actually a situation where he just needs a little bit of instruction. So when you ask yourself, is this something that needs to be taught? Or is this actually something that he really understands what's expected, and there actually needs to be consequence, there needs to be some follow through? Avoid correcting your campers in front of their peers. Again, we talked about that earlier. But anytime there's peers all around and a camper feels attacked or feels corrected, there's an aspect of, especially for a lot of your more dominant personalities, where they got to save face in front of everyone, and so they will not respond to your correction in the same way that if you pull them aside to the side and say, hey, I noticed this is happening, what's going on, what I really need you to do is this. You're going to get a lot more positive response from your camper that way, versus when you correct them in front of their peers. And also, even with your quiet personalities, if you correct them in front of their peers, they might be compliant, they might go ahead and do what you want them to do, but you've done a lot of damage, and so they might be less trusting of you later on, and you've actually lost a lot of ground. So really be sensitive to the fact that they are in front of their peers a lot, and help them save face in that. Say yes when you can, and praise more often than you criticize. Anytime that you can say yes, the campers say, hey, can we go down to the petting zoo? You're like, I'm tired. That's an opportunity to say yes. And every time you say yes, your campers feel more positive about, hey, I love being my counselor. In fact, if you can say, yeah, you want to grab the scrap bucket and we can feed the pigs, now you've even added to it, and their excitement of being with you is going to increase. And praise as often as you can. Look for those opportunities. You realize I've been correcting him a lot. Okay, pause, think, how can I praise Michael? How can I praise LaKoya on her, her hair looks nice. Let me tell her that. And anytime you can praise a camper, you're going to gain a lot of ground there. You're going to gain a lot of relational buy-in. Look to the need behind the behavior. I had a counselor one summer who brought his camper up. He said, you need to deal with this camper. He's been cussing and throwing stuff around the wagon, and he just has a bad attitude, and you need to deal with him. And I looked at the camper and I said, hey, what's going on? He said, well, I can't find my comic book. I said, well, let's go down the wagon and let's look for your comic book. So we went down to the wagon, we looked around, finally we found his comic book, and he was excited about it. And I said, hey, you were throwing stuff around, you were calling people names, and I understand your comic book was really important to you, but you still need to apologize, and you still need to have a consequence. And he was more than happy to serve his consequence and apologize. But I had taken some time to address his need, and unfortunately with that counselor, he was unaware, he wasn't paying attention to the camper's needs, and the camper was not feeling heard. And so he escalated his behavior to get attention. And so you pausing as a counselor and thinking about, hey, what other needs are going on here? What might have triggered this behavior? Can get you a long way into building trust with your camper. And it doesn't mean that you can excuse the behavior, but in dealing with the emotions behind the behavior, you're able to build trust with your camper, and it enables you to work through the conflict a lot better. Be consistent. It's nice when all camp is consistent, because then I don't have campers walking around in flip-flops and another camper saying, hey, wait a second, my counselor said I can't wear flip-flops, but she's wearing flip-flops. But also just within your team, being consistent with, when you say, let's not do this, or we're not going to do this, be consistent. Make sure you reinforce your rules with everyone and not just a few. Speak purposely. Don't give 2-3 warnings. If you do that again, if you do that again, if you do that again, if you say, I don't want, don't do this. I'm giving you direction. Do not do that. What will happen if you do that? Ask them. Okay. Um, well, then I'd probably have to do push-ups. That would be correct. Next time they do it, okay, we went over that. You did it again. Let's do your push-ups. Act timely. Um, there's two parts to this. The first timely is just deal with things as they occur. Don't let them build up. Your frustration level is going to build up. You have a greater potential of responding with disrespect toward your camper, breaking down that relationship, and then the problem escalates there. You want to be aware of the little stuff that may be brewing. Sometimes the more attentive you are to the interactions, you see campers shoving each other, pushing each other around. And if you speak to the boys while that's happening, you're going to de-escalate a lot of problems that are building. But if you ignore that, it's going to build, and you're going to have to deal with it sometime. But at that point, either they're in an all-out fight, or the camper goes home, and I get a phone call from the mom saying my child was bullied at camp this week. So if you can resolve things while they're still small, it's a whole lot easier than waiting until it becomes a big problem. Give consequences. Remember, we've got the zones. The yellow zones, that's push-ups and jumping jacks, pulling weeds with the counselor. They both do all these things with the counselor, and then they need to apologize. If they said something mean to somebody or unkind to someone, do the push-ups and do the apology. Blue zone would be they still have to do their push-ups and their weed pulling, but they also have a 15-minute work project, and usually they'll do that with the counselor. Sometimes we have them do it with the counselor coach, depending on the situation. Red zone, this is really where the counselor coach has already stepped in, but that's a 4 hours suspended away from the team. And it's amazing. Some of these kids, some of these campers, they just need that time away from the team. Their attitude stinks, and they need that hard reset. And I've watched it some summers where it's like, okay, I think so-and-so really just needs a red zone. And so we'll give them a red zone. And then the rest of the week, they just have a great time, and they're working well with their team. So sometimes they just need that time away. We have a fire zone, which is really, by that point, I'd be stepping in, but that's when the camper would be sent home. And as difficult as that is, you are preserving the camp atmosphere when you go ahead and address these consequences. And even when a camper gets sent home, a lot of times that's the wake-up call that they need to realize that their behavior is not acceptable and they need to make some changes. Additional consequences, time out from activities, saying 3 nice things. And sometimes that's just, it's looking like you're having a hard time playing with the other campers. I think you need to sit out for a little bit so you can just cool down because you can't play angry. Saying 3 nice things would be, they said something unkind to someone, and this has happened again, so getting them to start saying nice things about another camper. Also, we talk about when you make a mess at camp, we're all going to make messes, but we expect everyone to clean it up. And so if they mess up and they hurt somebody, then they need to go and apologize, and they need to think about, what can I do to restore this relationship? Maybe it's, I'm going to clear their plate at lunchtime, or I'm going to help them, help them clean up the mess that we created or whatever. These are things you don't do. These are your do-nots. You don't take away all of something. You don't take away all their pool time or all the carpet ball. You can't play carpet ball anymore because you guys got an argument. Because the kids are here at camp to have fun. And if all they feel like is, I'm just sitting here, I can't do anything, it really, really ruins that ability for you to get buy-in from the campers. Don't take away food, snacks, or dessert. Don't use physical punishment. We don't want spanking or anything like that here at camp. Don't use consequences that could cause them harm. basically stick with the consequences of that. But again, if your co-counselor is giving out a consequence, you're thinking, man, that doesn't seem very safe. That would be wrong. Don't nag or threaten. Go ahead and give them this is what I need you to do. When they don't do it, when they don't follow through, go ahead and follow through with your consequence. Don't use derogatory comments. Don't put your campers down. You're selfish. Well, if you'd man up, or um, you know, challenge their manhood and things like that. And for a lot of our campers, they already don't feel like I'm a man. So when you challenge their manhood, you're really just reinforcing in their mind that I don't have what it takes. I'm not a man. So really, really don't do that. Don't use shame or fear to motivate a camper. Don't again, we talked about that earlier. Don't embarrass them in front of the other campers, and don't restrain. Um, Especially when you got a little camper, it's easy as a counselor to start grabbing their hand and pulling them around everywhere you go, and you're not teaching them anything, and you're really wearing yourself out. So go ahead and let them. You need to come on over here. They don't, go ahead and hand out the consequence. And it's amazing how, 2 or 3 times you're okay with, I'm all right if you got to do push-ups. I'm all right if you got to go see the counselor coach and do a work project. And if you're okay with that, it's amazing how much they'll grow and they'll learn in that.
Hey guys, you heard the bell. It's time to go. Nature class. Okay guys, come on. Hey, what's going on?
I'm hot and tired.
Huh. Well, you guys haven't filled your water bottles this morning, have you?
No.
Okay, well maybe we could run to Fort Turley and refill our water, and then we could go into nature class. How's that sound? Okay, great. Come on guys. Hey Doug, what's going on? It's time for nature class,
I don't want to go.
Okay, so why don't you want to go to nature class?
None of that stuff's gonna teach me anything anyways.
Okay.
There's no point.
So you're thinking it's a little boring, or?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Here, can you stop swinging so we can talk? Here we go. Now, we've already said a couple times that it's time to go, so what we can do now is there's a couple different things we could do. Either one, we can do some push-ups really quick and catch up with the team, and then maybe we could come up with some questions to ask Grandpa Tom. He's really smart, and that could help it be more interesting. Or, if you really don't want to go, we could go find a counselor coach, but that might mean a work project. So, what do you think?
I want to go to the counselor coach.
Okay, let's go find the coach.
Catch the sneaky giants. Don't strain out gnats. In other words, it's easy to get nitpicky. You don't want to do that, but you do want to watch what's going on and stuff that's building. When it comes to asking for forgiveness, we don't like it. We have a certain way we ask our campers to ask for forgiveness. It's easy for them to say, my bad, or would you pardon me? Just all kinds of things like that. But what we asked our campers to say was, I was wrong for, and expressed, I was wrong for calling you a name. Would you please forgive me? Or I was wrong for stepping on your frog, or whatever. Shake hands, high five. It's that connection that says, I'm okay with you. It gives you that opportunity as a counselor to really figure out, are they really okay, or are they just saying the words? Follow through is something to make it right, restore the relationship. They apologize, they said they're sorry. Hey, would you guys like to go play a basketball game together? That's going to restore the relationship. Or, like we talked about earlier, doing something for the other person, especially in a bullying situation. When you're working with difficult campers, you can start to get worn down. And what we don't want to do is get you into that place where your oxygen is so low that you're not going to be able to take care of the campers. So when you feel like, hey, I'm really starting to get burned out, let your counselor coach know. And we will do things to make sure that you have an opportunity to recharge so that you can be the best counselor that you can be. And there's some things that are really recharging, and then there's some things that are kind of recharging. Maybe sitting and playing video games feels like I'm really I'm disconnecting from the world and everything. But a lot of times, sitting and talking to someone and processing what you're feeling, talking to your counselor or the counselor coach, I'm really feeling down, and doing that relational thing, you're gonna feel so much more charged in the end than playing Xbox for an hour. Last thing I want to talk about is bullying. It does happen at camp, probably happens everywhere. And in bullying, there's two sides to it. There's the bully, and they need to do some growth there. But there's also the camper who's being picked on. It kind of fills that role as well. And they both are playing roles, and without them both stepping into those roles, it's a lot less likely to have happen, or it won't happen. Small things lead to big things. So pay attention. You watch a camper walking the line and he kind of bumps into people and everything. That's the small bullying. It might just be really loud at the table, really over top of another camper. It's not always the bigger kids bullying little kids, but anytime there's a difference in sometimes a smarter kid would bully a camper that's not quite as smart. So just look for any underlining things happening. Be alert, be attentive. All right, that's the end of this class. We'll talk about the next one later.